Raise the whole town, are you ready? They want to scare me. Kill me, they won't kill me. Hey, honey. Can you hear me, Lorraine? Hey, beautiful. So glad you're here. Woo! I'm just chilling, waiting for a few more people to come on so the live can notify people that haven't you've never watched a live before? Do you know what? I've got quite a few followers on YouTube, and the other day I was speaking to a friend of mine, and we were talking about how we can better utilize the platforms in order to promote our side projects, you know, like our books and our coaching and things like that. And when I told her that I had like over 2,000 followers on my YouTube, she's like, "Oh my God, do your YouTube lives, you know, and utilize that space." So yeah, I decided to do that. And you know me, I love chatting and sharing information that I've gathered. So I hope you find it nice to be here. I don't know, I feel like Facebook feels a bit more too up close to me and a bit unprofessional as well, to be fair, if I've done Facebook lives. Instagram lives, they tend to cut off after a while, and it's annoying. But I am enjoying my YouTube lives. Hello, other person. Hey, Mo. Oh, my parents are Jamaican. Tell me why that's important. You know me, guys, I like to have my notes. I don't always just go into the next topic off my head. So hey, ask for extra curry. What's your name? You want me to say hi, but there's no name. It says unread insect 73. There's your shout out. Okay, no, not all you know, black and brown people are from Africa, sweetheart. What part of Africa would you have thought I was from then? I'm Jamaican. I'm an island girl. My parents are Jamaican, but I was brought up in Britain. No problem. Insect 73. Delia BX. Hi. Do you know what? At the moment, my favorite artist is Odile. He does like Afro house, and it is so cute. I love it. It's just like a vibe of just relaxing, and yeah, he's just awesome. Hey, Fernando. Lovely. So yes, today I'm going to speak about the power of words, and I have a bit of a controversial opinion on the power of words. First of all, I want to say a quote, and who's this quote by? It's by Kushand Wisdom. And the quote is, words are free, but it's how you use them that cost you. Yeah? Words are free, but it's how you use them that cost you. Now, the other day I'm speaking to somebody and I must have said, oh, I feel a bit depressed. And the person went in and was like, you're spiritual, you shouldn't be saying things like that because what you say comes to reality, etc., etc. However, my point is, how how do we know that saying something is negative is actually negative, or it's just an acknowledgement? I had a feeling and I wanted to explore that to come to a positive space with that person, if you want me to be honest. Because sometimes internalizing the things that we think is not always the best way to transform the feelings that we have. And this is why we have therapists and counselors and, you know, people that we can kind of use as soundboards to move forward with transforming our thoughts, beliefs, and energy. Now, words can either uplift, motivate, or encourage, and negative words can demoralize, cause dismay, or destroy your confidence. Remembering that confidence is knowing that you have the ability to do something. So it can also destroy your self-esteem, meaning deplete the energy that you have around your confidence or what you're confident about. And just going back to the conversation that I was having with that person was interesting because they even was negative towards me because they cussed me out for saying that I felt depressed. And then left it as that. They didn't fill me back up with some encouraging words. And I think that's a tool that most people skip when they're actually speaking to someone. So, for example, if you're making somebody aware of their negative points, it's always a good idea to end that conversation on a positive note. So I tend to say something like if someone said to me, oh, they are feeling a bit depressed, I would have invited them to explore that more rather than shut them down and encourage them to suppress the feeling or the thoughts that they're having because it's just negative and it may come true. What I would have done is invited them to explore why they're feeling like that, invited them to then look at that situation, have a perception shift around that thought process, which then transforms the energy immediately, turning it into something positive. And then I would have said something like, what positive things have happened today? And then they would have shared maybe their dinner was nice. They tried a new drink that was quite refreshing. Or they went for a walk with a friend. Or they saw somebody, or they had a call, or they made some money, you know, and then we would have ended the conversation on that note. Sometimes, you know, I feel like we can watch reels and or posts and things, and whilst they're so positive and they do invite some really good dialogue, we still need to go on that journey of exploring what those things are actually saying and how we can project that quote or that new belief into society and into our relationships in a way that's progressive, palatable, and positive. It's not negative to acknowledge that you have a negative thought process or a negative feeling. It's very positive for you to acknowledge those negative thoughts and feelings in order for you to transform them into a positive. Again, I'm feeling depressed. Let's look at the word depressed. So you've got pressed in there, when that means to press something together. So basically, you're basically saying that you feel intense. Doesn't necessarily mean you're feeling depressed as though you're not gonna get up in the morning and brush your teeth and look after your well-being and go to work. I think sometimes when we say that we're depressed, people go to like the extremes rather than looking at it in its softness and its directness, and just acknowledging that person, that's the word that person's used to describe them, just feeling a bit pressed at the moment. And them saying that to you means that they have welcomed you into that space to help them to release themselves from that feeling, rather than shutting them down and saying, oh, don't use that, the power of words, it could come true, blah, 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 blah. And then you're inviting them to suppress the feeling. So it's interesting. Let's look at where the word sir, the term sir comes from. Because I just had that thought process. So initially, I'm just taking my own example as a example. I'm just taking my own situation as an example. Initially, me feeling pressed was unconscious, and me voicing it out meant that it became conscious. So repression is generally said to be unconscious. So in that moment, me feeling repressed was previously subconscious. And then that person shutting me down from exploring that when I became conscious of it, meant that they were inviting me to suppress that feeling. And then to depress is to reduce the level of strength. So basically, I was just saying that I felt a bit weak in that moment. Depressed means to reduce the level of strength that one has in that particular belief or thought. So, to be fair, it was a good thing that I recognized it, because, again, it allowed me to explore it. So, words in communication gives you clarity and precision. And it also allows you to actively listen to others and yourself. And I love doing that in meditation. I mean, meditation is not for everybody, and I'm not directly encouraging anyone to meditate, because people have different beliefs and thought processes around meditation. However, for me and for those who do meditate, I'm sure you can relate to what I'm saying when I'm saying that meditation creates a space between your thoughts and where the transformation needs to happen. And then within that void, you can then explore, pick out, you know, whatever's coming up and then work on it. Because it shuts off all the outside chatter so that you can hear your thoughts and you can connect with those negative thoughts and you can connect with all those negative words and pick them out and transform them. And that's something that I am not afraid to do. And I can see how far I've got in my life because I've been willing to look at the negative things that I'm saying to myself, transform them, and then move forward. If you say something negative and you're just negative and you just say negative stuff, yes, that can then create that reality and keep you in a situation with, oh, Holly said something. Let me just finish what I'm saying and I'll read that. Yeah. When you're just saying negative stuff, yes, that can create the reality of negativity coming back to you, and that's what you will manifest. But if you are consciously saying something negative, you're like, oh, that was a bit negative, and you look at it and you do the work around it and give it the attention that it needs, again, you transmute that energy. And it's funny because in my book, Unorthodox Masculinity, Conversations with a Goddess, that is about transmuting sexual energy, transmuting, what do you call it, sexual transmutation, where we look at sex as an energy. So you might explore more about what I'm saying in regards to that if when you look into that book. And Holly said, did you have a bad day or just a bad moment in that day? A thought I like to come back to when I think I'm having a negative day. That was true, because negativity is just so powerful. Like, people just fear negativity. Like, they fear their goals or a spider or, you know, death, or like, it's just a really powerful word. And we can kind of, what's that term that my dad says all the time? But it's not exaggerate. Catastrophize. He says, you can catastrophize what's happening, that negativity, when really your day was good, but you had a moment of negativity. So it would be really, really good if we could, if you've got a piece of paper, as a matter of fact, let's do a little activity. If you've got a piece of paper and a pen, or your phone, and use your notebooks, and just write down 5 things or 5 thoughts that you've had that are quite negative, that you can't comprehend, you can't understand. Just write them down. And then take each word or term or sentence and just rewrite it. And then say the positive words that go against that negativity. And that's how to use negativity as positivity. Words are vibrations. Yes, we know. Because you first have your thoughts, then you have a feeling, and then you have the action. So if you have a negative thought, then you have this negative feeling, anger, frustration, and then you express a behavior that complements that. But how's about you have the power to have a thought, even have the feeling, and add in transmute it, and then act. And that's called intentional behavior. You just take a moment and do that. Because when you look at it from a behavior perspective, words can either de-escalate or escalate a situation, whether that's happening within you or outside of you. So with that fourth concept of transmuting that negative thought process or that process, you'll be able to act out from a different space, from a more powerful space. It's about being happy about having more control over who you are as a person. So therefore your environment and those around you are not puppeting how you behave. And you've got some wicked people out there who will know that you're on that journey and deliberately try to provoke you in order to get you to act from a subconscious space. I remember I was speaking to a friend the other day, and she was saying that, since she's taken on some of the tips that I have given her, she says that she's got more conscious behavior. So someone pissed her off, and she consciously put them in their place. And the person was saying that she was being negative. And again, it wasn't about whether she was being negative or not. It was about the fact that she had to set a boundary with that person. So therefore, that was positive. And especially as her being somebody who has had her, boundary circumference violated in the past through trauma and abuse. It was very positive for her to project herself in a way that stopped that person from provoking her. Because sometimes people can say that you're being negative as a defense mechanism because they don't want to address themselves. The power of words. You can say some negative things to people. And like I said at the beginning, I'm going to take this conversation to a controversial place. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, don't say this and don't say that and blah, 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 blah. No, it is very, very positive to pull up the negatives, transmute them, and project consciously what you need to project from a positive space according to the circumstance and the situation. And again, it reduces escalating, it de-escalates, and avoids catastrophizing things. And it's funny because since my dad said that to me about a year ago, I've stopped doing it. I've stopped catastrophizing situations and things and catching my behavior. Because once something would press on my ego in a certain way, even though I'm quite a controlled person anyway, there's certain things that could press on my ego in a certain way, and I would catastrophize it according to the volume of how I felt it. So again, negative words are not always negative, because without me being negative and catastrophizing things, my dad wouldn't have said what he said and I wouldn't have been able to fix it. I suppose sometimes what words you can say can be negative to others, but at the same time can be a firm positive for yourself. Exactly. It's it's funny how, you know, we're here, this spiritual body, our spirit has entered into this body so that we can experience our senses. They say there's more than five. And within that manifestation of matter, meaning, you know, that solid factor, we're going to come across people. And we're going to be ahead of people within our evolution, and we're going to be behind people in terms of our evolution as well. And sometimes those clashes, that we're going to clash, and sometimes those clashes are going to be negative, and sometimes those clashes are going to be positive and beautiful. And some people will stay on their own and isolate themselves in order to protect their peace so that their spirit isn't jerked. However, we cannot fear going into the world and communicating with people and clashing with people, because we won't have these amazing experiences and these amazing conversations. If I didn't have that conversation with that person, I didn't say, oh, I feel depressed, that person wouldn't have encouraged me to suppress it, and I wouldn't be here today having this conversation with you. It's beautiful because it brings up topics of conversations. There's a psychological effect to words as well, and positive self-talk can improve your self-esteem and mental health. There's so much stuff going on with mental health at the moment, which I'm sure you'll all agree. Hello, anti-Zionism. Thank you, Nisa. Thank you, Nisa. What part of the UK are you from? Yeah. And I truly believe that it's because, a lot of it is because people are not being able to speak out about the negative things that they're thinking. We're living in a culture where people are required to suppress how they're thinking and feeling in order to live up to social norms, which has become more materialistic and less practical. Imagine not being able to share your vulnerabilities in safe spaces, even in relationships. I've heard people say, oh, I could never say that to my partner. They would throw it in my face, or they'd look down on me, or whatever. Well, if you can't be vulnerable with your partner and the people who are closest to you, then you're kind of dating an outsider, or you're having a relationship, whether it's a friendship or an intimate relationship, from a perspective of as a survival mechanism. We have to think about these things. I'm not saying that you should say everything to everyone or whatever, but there's a lot of it going around where we're not able to be vulnerable with people. And this is why there's a rise in this whole conversation about narcissism and things like that, because we are actually having people around us in our intimate spaces who can't be trusted with our vulnerabilities. And it's just not normal, it's not right, and we need to take time, more time, in vetting people who we want in our spaces, and to protect our vulnerabilities in order to cultivate the right relationships. But instead, we're exchanging that to appease our loneliness. We're exchanging that to appease our trauma. And all those things are negative. And this is why we have to keep working on ourselves and understanding ourselves and where we're at. If you look at that situation and admit that that's a negative situation, there's nothing wrong with that. Look at it, see that it's negative. Again, you've got a thought that's negative. You've had a feeling that's negative. Embrace the two of them. Then go to the transformation stage and the reflection and self-awareness stage. Then that's where the behavior changes. Words can lead into action, as we discussed, and it can also make you become an advocate for yourself, not only for yourself but for bigger causes. Can't suppress people going to war with innocent people, for example. We can't suppress knowing that that's negative. We're like, oh, then people are being harmed over there. We're not going to say nothing because it's negative and it may come true and it may get worse. No, what we're going to do is acknowledge that there's some negativity going on, and we're going to look at how we can create solutions to such issues. And that same activism that you have on a global scale is the same activism that you need to have for yourself. And that is so, so positive. It creates inspiring movements like Me Too. You know, how's about Me Too? Choosing you, choosing the best for you. I'm big on that recently. Choosing the best for me and having the patience to wait for the best to come to me. You know, and doing my best to work through the external criticism and opinions on the way, because it's all energy to take me out of alignment, to put me back in a negative space, to feel like I don't deserve that. Because there's a point where you can feel like I don't deserve that. And again, it's positive to acknowledge that I feel like I don't deserve that. I don't deserve the best. Take that word, take that term, look at it, acknowledge it, give it the care and attention that it needs, and then move forward with inspired action. How would you know the next stage of self that you need to get to if you don't accept the negative thoughts that you have around moving to that next stage? And I mean, this is just purely for people who are about growth and moving forward. There's a lot of people that are not interested, they're very settled with where they're at. They accept life the way it is. We're not talking to them. We're talking to people who want the best for themselves and know that they can get it. And understand, those who understand that it's about them increasing their confidence in their abilities and talents and shaping the value of their self-esteem around that. It's a big thing, this whole, the difference between confidence and self-esteem. It's something that we really need to kind of digest and understand. Confidence is believing in your abilities and talents. Self-esteem is the value and worth that you place around that. It's two different things. Because like I said, people can have talents and abilities and not cultivate them. Why? Because they don't have a value and worth. They haven't placed value and worth in those things. Somebody can be a good writer. They just write. But they don't know how to monetize it, or they don't know how to place it in a space where it's of value because of the fact that they're shy, or it's not that great. It's just something that they do. It's just a hobby. You know, those types of things that they can say around that. So again, you know, harness the power of words. Use them thoughtfully and responsibly. So, like Lorraine says, be conscious that you can be the person who can trigger negativity in somebody because of your lack of understanding of how to support someone who's being vulnerable with you. Interesting fact. I'm not sure how that relates, Bill, but if you want to if you want to explain it, then you're more than welcome to share. Sometimes people have analogies that can make the light bulb moments happen, which you don't understand. So, thank you for sharing. Yeah. So, be conscious of the way that you use words. You know, do your best to be conscious about being inspiring and kind with your words. And also be conscious of how powerful those words can be in order to support you with protecting your energy, because self-esteem reduces and it can be depleted. It can go up and down, up and down, up and down. I think I discussed this in a previous live, that we need to be careful about who we're around, because those people can affect us on a level of reducing our self-esteem around our abilities. And some people can increase it because they just speak powerful words into you. It's not negative to have a thought that actually that person might be depleting my self-esteem, and I can't afford for that to happen, because my confidence needs to remain within, in terms of my abilities and talents. That's not negative, that's positive. So look at the experiences that you've had recently with negativity, and take those 4 stages that I described, and I'll tell you them again, rather than the 3 stages that society just is made up, I guess. You have a thought, you have a feeling, you have the opportunity to transform, if necessary, that energy, and then you have inspired action. Thoughts, feelings, transformation, inspired action. Rather than thought, is it positive? Oh, we'll go with that. Thought, is it negative? We're just going to suppress that and pull it back. Again, that's going to reduce your energy. You have to be authentic. There's a power. Third power of the 4 powers of Srini Tananda's 4 powers. Authenticity. You have a chart. So you make 2 lines, which make 3 columns. Inside, outside, others, what others say. You have to write down your feelings and thoughts in the inside one. The outside one says, what do you project to people? So you write down what you project. And then you write down what others say. So inside you feel sad, for example. Outside you show that you're happy. What do people say? You're a happy person. Now that must be very depleting, because you're just literally pretending that you're happy. You're using up way too much energy. You're using up way too much of your esteem. So if you take those 5 words that I said to write down earlier and do it in that chart format, where you write down inside, what's going on inside, what's going on outside, and what people say, you'll be able to measure your energy levels. Now, if you be honest that you're actually sad and show people that you're sad, people will see that you're sad and deal with you as though you're sad, in order for you to make that transformation. If someone doesn't know, say you're in a relationship and inside you're sad, but you're showing that you're happy, they're not going to behave correctly. They're going to behave as though you're happy. And time's going to go past, wasting your time and energy, your life source. And then you're just going to live in regret. to do that chart around other things as well, so that you can see where you're at. Is there any questions or any further discussion that you guys want to talk about? I just want to kind of encourage you guys to take the knowledge that we have shared today, and thank you for your energy, into your daily lives. And thank you for participating, because it's a big task to love yourself and care for yourself. And it's admirable. And I really, as somebody who, you know, is continuously on a journey to improving myself and wanting the best for myself and healing and all that kind of stuff, I applaud all of you here today, because that's what you're here for, to get knowledge on how to choose you. And the power of words are just really, really important. But like I said, I wanted to take the conversation to a controversial space in order for us to learn how to transmute that negativity, because it's going to happen, in order to not suppress that negativity, because it's going to keep us away from what's right for us and the best for ourselves. So we've covered emotional, societal, relational dimension of the power of words today. Thank you very much, and keep smiling, guys. Love you loads. Mwah.